it's edible incredible.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 10th of July, 2022. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today is Zachary Burgess.
Nothing edible this week yet.
And Robert Kemp.
We are absolutely pre-peats.
Yeah. No, you're pre-peats. You're not pre-peats. That's different.
Oh, no, yeah, we are pre-peats, not pre-peats. Duh.
Après Pete's.
We are not post-peats this week.
Yes.
No.
Although, I was about to say melange. Is melange a word? Like
Yes, but not the word you were looking for.
No, probably not. But the summer malaise is upon us.
Malaise. Not the spice melange.
Not the spice melange.
Okay. Yeah, the malaise is here, and the malaise is going to get more malaisey.
Humidity blancmange.
Well, once again, it's happened very abruptly. Like, it was totally fine this week, and then it's just today, naturally, the day where we have to sit in a small room and when I had to walk all the way here.
I mean, I do normally associate the hottest days of the year with Wimbledon, and it's like it's made it all the way to the final before that association has arrived.
Yeah.
Before it has come. Pretty hot yesterday, too, I would say.
Pretty hot.
Here, anyway.
But
Yeah.
I don't think it's a patch on today. Today seems worse.
No, it is escalating.
Although, when I was walking down here, I was like, walking past gardens and fields and whatnot, and the grass all looks hella dry, and I was like, I guess it hasn't really rained, it just hasn't been that hot.
No, that's very true.
Yeah, it's definitely some dead grass patches in the park by me. Just noticing. Usually it's pretty well kept, but like if it doesn't rain, then there's not much they can do, I suppose.
Yeah,
Apart from
the cricket pitch up in Chantry Park in Ipswich was looking pretty yellowy.
yellow.
Well, I mean, cricket pitches are meant to look yellow, though, in the middle.
You reckon?
They play in the cricket
not just the square.
Yeah.
The whole
thing.
oval.
Oval.
They don't have some insane sprinklers. Actually, do official pitches. Can they have insane sprinkler systems? Because surely the little divots where sprinklers would have to be would be a problem.
How do they work? They must have a whole strategy, right?
You can cap sprinklers pretty flat, but when they do it in baseball, the sprinklers come out of the actual clay part rather than the grass part, and they just spray out onto the grass.
I see. Okay,
I believe
maybe and they just put a clay bit on top.
Yeah, they just put the ground over it because it's much easier to replace.
Yeah. I was about to say, well, surely if they have AstroTurf, then that's even easier because it would just look the same. It's like, oh wait,
and then you would need the sprinklers.
Oh wait, that would just be for my benefit, just to walk across. Lovely sprinkle down. That would be quite nice.
Lovely sprinkle down.
Lovely sprinkle down. Yeah, that's
sprinkle down.
Just a field of light haze.
But wet AstroTurf is terrible to walk over.
That's true. Isn't it the technology in sport for having ultimately perfect pitches is really driven by the professional football, isn't it? They go crazy for their management of the turf and all of that. That probably
remove the whole thing and replace it with a new one.
With a new one, yeah. Well, I imagine some of that trickles down to all the way down to cricket.
I don't think so, really, because cricket can't remove a whole pitch. They actually have to repaint it properly.
No. Also, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure there's enough money in cricket. Would that be?
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if there's an innovation in football where the money is. Whether it's we've got these genetically modified grass seeds.
Oh,
and the cricket people are just, okay.
So I don't think cricket would want that anyway, because cricket is super traditional, and the shittiness of the pitch is part of the point.
Maybe.
That's why cricket pitches aren't all the same size most of the time.
Yeah.
And have weird vary, slopes and stuff.
Yeah, some of them are sloped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which does carry over into baseball as well, but I guess the grass part of the baseball field is marginally less important.
Well, isn't it true even in football that they're different shapes, slightly different sizes?
Not really.
Is it true? I can't remember.
The pitch part is always the same pitch shape. It's just the extra bits around the edge can extend slightly further. But
is it exactly the same dimensions? I suppose it is, yeah. Makes sense.
We're talking association football?
Yes.
Okay. Because like
as opposed to
because all bets are off in
American
NFL.
football.
Like, I mean, the pitch size is precise, but the material it's made of, right? That's hugely variable.
Not so much any longer though. I think there's only like a couple of them that are still AstroTurf at this point.
Oh, that's still AstroTurf.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them have gone back to actual grass.
Yeah.
Huh. Did not expect that. I sort of thought the bounciness of the turf was like why everyone loved it, because, you know, crazy ass jumps and stuff.
It's not really that crazy.
I mean, it can be crazy.
Yeah, but they don't do it that often, and like they don't even fall over that often. Really. It's not like rugby where you're on the ground half the time.
Yeah.
I suppose our exposure to American football is basically just the Super Bowl.
Which happens on a football pitch, and regular football pitch. Just marked out for American football.
What, does it?
Most of the time.
Super
They do it
Bowl?
at Wembley, right?
Oh, not the Super Bowl's not in the UK.
No.
I mean,
The UK matches, yeah, they'll be at a football stadium that's been converted. Yeah, that's just been repainted.
Yeah, I reckon Wembley's got enough space to accommodate a few different sports, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the Super Bowl will be at. Well, it's not. It's in a. Is it? Oh, this shows what I know. It's in a neutral place, right? Isn't it? It's not like at one of the home teams.
But that's the equivalent of being in a random place, as far as we're concerned.
Yeah,
so, yeah, I suppose.
I don't know if they. I don't know if like there's preference over like do they avoid the AstroTurf ones for the Super Bowl just to make it a bit cooler, or would it be having a AstroTurf Super Bowl make it unusual and interesting?
Exactly, that would be interesting, I suppose. But practically, they must be limited to like the very biggest stadiums for the Super Bowl, right?
And they also have like more choices for grass than AstroTurf.
Sure. How was that?
Yeah.
How does that manage? Did you reckon? Is it like just the NFL just picks one? And
well, I would assume they
some
also
kind of round robin or a bidding system. Or
I would assume they are like obviously picking neutral, but I assume they probably pick one that's like in between them for commuting purposes.
Well, does that mean? But surely that means okay. If we were to look at the stats for this, it's like most Super Bowls would happen in the very middle of the USA, right? Like just.
Well, yeah, suppose it's East and West division, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're split. The two divisions are split, and you get one team from each side.
But presumably you're right, Rob. Like it must be quite a big economic boon to host the Super Bowl, right? So like the Olympics or something like that. So there probably is like a
maybe,
but
you do have to have such a gigantic stadium to start with.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's a cost as well. But I doubt it. I doubt the cost outweighs profit.
Everybody coming to your town. Yeah.
Not for the cost of those tickets, anyway.
Yeah.
Whether
that money from all those.
I don't actually know, but like I imagine that's ridiculous.
What, trying to get tickets for the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl tickets, yeah.
Probably
but
insane.
that's the difference between what you hear they cost and what they actually cost. Because I'm sure at the start they cost less.
Well, yeah, until the touts get their hands on them, sure.
Yeah. I wonder why the Glastonbury ticket process was. I mean, it's a bit involved, but it prevents any of that touting stuff. So I don't know why it's not more common for like big events. You have to like pre-register with photo ID before you even attempt to buy the tickets, and then your I suppose this is expensive probably, but your photo is printed on the ticket. So yeah, I don't know. That seems pretty foolproof. Gets rid of that whole problem.
Yeah, to a point. I suppose it depends on, I guess, what the transfer market for tickets like that is like. If that's actually like, because surely that makes like transferring your Glastonbury tickets in the event of something preventing you from going a right pain in the arse.
Yeah, you can't really do it. I suppose the person you're transferring to would have to be pre-registered, and then they'd have to print a new ticket for that person. I don't even know if it's possible to transfer tickets, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe it must be, because there's so many people go, like 200,000 people are there, so there must be some people who dropped out and needed to change things.
Sure.
Anyway.
Or maybe they just drop them out and just get the refunds and then don't worry about transfers. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Because they do a resale, like, closer to the date for people who've dropped out, I suppose.
Yeah. So perhaps that's it. You have to refund it directly, and then you can't transfer them, but they just come back into the pool.
Exactly. But that seems worth it to get rid of
the
touts and things. Ridiculousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Superb owls.
Superb owls. I mean, that is
You've been running in this heat, Rob? Changing the subject.
Kinda. I park run yesterday morning and it was hot, but it wasn't too bad.
Bearable. Okay.
The last super hot day we had, I did run on. It was like the Friday of the Bury St Edmunds 5 miler.
Oh yeah,
that was atrocious. No one should have run that day. Yeah. It was too hot. It was absolutely too hot. I had the worst run on like pretty much on record for myself. I just couldn't deal with it. I shouldn't have done it really. Yeah, that was bad. Don't do it. I vomited up on top of a hill, so you know. Although that's some might say that's pretty standard for me, but like. But yes, don't do it. It is getting way beyond my comfort zone for any kind of movement, really. So shut your windows and embrace games.
Yeah, clearly.
Embrace those games. Well, this is a podcast about video games.
It is.
Similar to the Jeff Gersman podcast. Yeah. And we don't have any news for you, I guess.
No, pretty much not.
There's not a huge amount of news. Not this time round.
Nintendo still hasn't actually done a thing.
No, not a proper thing. They did that. Well, yeah, but for whatever definition of proper you want, they did a Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase. So third-party stuff coming to Switch. Of which I mean, there was some stuff in there. I mean, none of it really looked terrible, is what I would say. But like in the same breath, none of it really sounds like I want to talk about it here.
No.
Aside from Sonic Frontiers, right? Okay. Yeah. Because they actually revealed kind of what is one of the core parts of that game.
Yeah.
And it's like so late in the day, right?
I mean, did we... Because I mentioned it last podcast that and more IGN stuff had come out after the previous podcast, but before that podcast, and I was like, oh, it looks better. I think that did include some of the cyberspace stuff in the IGN footage as well.
Right.
But then this Nintendo one
I think the
was
Nintendo,
like a more better cut video.
So I heard it the other way around. I thought this Nintendo one was like, this is where everyone first saw it.
When did this Nintendo thing happen?
Like the Monday after, like the day of our podcast, last podcast, something like that.
Maybe I mixed up the Nintendo and the IGN footage.
Yeah, it was real close because basically I remember I ended up watching a couple of like was it the Easy Allies reactions video to this thing, because it was just like I have to know, because Sonic Frontiers is so weird. I have to know what they
whether people are infused just without having to pick it apart.
Yeah, and they were so they saw this and then were like, oh my god, finally, because we weren't allowed to talk about this. So apparently, like the industry and people on the inside had actually played this and seen all this. Well, because
there was those leaks about the alpha that mentioned the cyberspace levels and all that stuff.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, we've seen all this. We've played these. Like, we just weren't allowed to talk about them. And like now this trailer's out there. It's like, all right, floodgates are open. This is the interesting part. You know, this is a core part of this game. It's like
I call it the interesting part.
Well, it's an interesting part, right? So the open zone is basically is that it's a hub. It's the biggest part of the game for sure, but it's a hub, and then there are these smaller little crafted zones that are more traditional Sonic, like within it, and it's like, yes, I think this is the magic, right? This is perhaps what we. These are the shrines.
It sounds dangerously like the missions in Generations, where it's like it's not even going to be a full length level; it's going to be little splices of.
I mean, I agree. It's probably that. It's probably more likely that, like, not like a full on level. It's probably a short little challenge of some kind.
I'm not sure that's what you actually want. Because we complain plenty enough about how Sonic levels are far too short almost all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, I don't know. I feel like that was an important part that they...
Oh yes, it was an important part.
It just makes the whole marketing strategy for how this has been done just even weirder.
Yeah.
And
actually, I think that now that I think about it, I think this must have been the Nintendo footage that I saw that I'm remembering, because I think at the time I watched it specifically because it was a trailer, and I was like, "Here's an actual like properly made, cut together real trailer to show off this game, not like weird IGN footage."
Not like actually Sega published.
Yeah.
But then all the B-roll IGN were allowed to show was
but
Sega managed as well.
It was made by Sega, but it wasn't necessarily like cut or,
I suppose you're right.
release ordered by Sega.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We just don't know, I suppose.
No.
Like, I think IGN were probably held back by Sega, right? They had to have this whole plan of like, we're talking about this, then we're talking about this.
You would hope they had a plan, yes.
Yeah, but I don't think.
But it was a dumb plan.
Yeah, I doubt this was IGN's doing. Like,
well, whoever's doing it was still dumb.
Yeah, it's a real stupid way to show that game.
Especially if this Nintendo trailer had come out before the IGN stuff, it would have been totally fine.
Because as far as I can tell, there is actually, complaints about its look aside, I feel like the vibe is sliding positive.
Positive vibes.
Like, weirdly positive though. I feel like maybe the people who have played it, there's still stuff that they can't talk about much.
Possibly, yeah. Well, because they haven't. Okay, they have talked about it, but we haven't seen it. In that there are other playable characters, right? Like some of the stuff you collect is supposedly for Amy.
Actually confirmed that yet? Or is that still?
I don't know.
Like leaks and rumors.
I think I've heard some stuff like that. Some of the collectibles that Sonic was getting in some of the footage we've seen wasn't actually meant for Sonic, right? He could get them, but it would benefit
Amy doesn't necessarily mean it's going to upgrade Amy. It might just be for Amy.
I suppose you're right. I suppose it could be a side quest. In some way, yeah, you might be right. Maybe I've read into that.
Yeah, we just don't know.
But that's kind of the thing. This
the
whole
other
thing is just
exist, at least.
Yes.
It's not Sonic alone in this weird void world.
Well, it depends what characters.
I mean, maybe.
And whether we get Roid Knuckles or regular Knuckles.
I think I saw a headline that said Being the Cat was confirmed in Frontiers, not just in the anime or cartoon, whatever.
Oh, my days. The return of... what about Froggy?
Well, I mean, what about fishing?
What about fishing?
They have a big open world. You got to have a fishing minigame, right?
Or cyberspace challenge holes.
Maybe. Challenge fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what Being the Cat's levels were in the original version anyway. Challenge fishing.
Hey, Sonic Frontiers. Market yourself better. You might be good.
Still going to come out this year, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. They've not locked that down particularly.
Anymore,
yeah. So
just
I think
this year
there is. I would say there's a very high chance of more delays, and that it's shipping next year.
Or get it in your league, and then you'll have a 3-0.
Yeah, I won't mind that. I did notice that league Fantasy Critic League talk that Zach pipped me to Xenoblade. It's like I had a bid on that, and he outbid me.
You should have bid more.
Really?
I should have bid more. Yeah, we've got so much budget at this point.
Well, yeah, I'm the one with the least budget.
Yeah, I should have bid
I haven't
more.
looked at that in months.
In fairness, my confidence level in Xenoblade isn't high.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm sure it'll be like a 6-pointer or something.
But at this point, yeah, it's every game you could probably pick is probably points, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I filled my shit up.
Yeah. Need to hunt some games. Get some games in my list, yo. Well, because half my list is still unconfirmed, as it turns out, for like the release. So it's.
I mean, get some more that last counterpick in if you can.
Yeah.
If you think there's likelihood of something getting pushed.
I think your lists are both of your lists are way more solid than mine. So my counterpick, I think, is harder. Personally, I think if I was to counterpick myself, I think I'd have some good choices, but I can't do that. Anyway, the Happy Salad League of Intrigue on Fantasy Critic continues. But what we did get a date for is that Mario plus Rabbids game.
Which for some reason you seem to think wasn't going to come out this year at one point.
I think that it was one of those games that they'd only ever said 2022,
right? So they hadn't put
a hard date on it, and now they have.
But why did you think that wasn't going to make it into 2022?
I don't know. I think everything's slipping right now. It was a late 2022 release, right? It's October 20th.
Well, yeah.
Is its actual date, and it's I don't know, anything towards the back end of the year, I think is slippable, given the But we're still, pandemic times ish, and it's like the delays are still happening as a result of that.
It is a combination of Nintendo and Ubisoft.
They're
not especially known for letting dates slip.
I mean, Ubisoft can be, but not so bad. They're not that bad. And Nintendo definitely aren't bad most of the time.
Well, yeah. Once Nintendo actually puts a date on a thing,
yeah, they're pretty upfront usually. Well, aside from I guess Breath of the Wild,
yeah,
that's the big one, and arguably Metroid Prime, but I don't think they ever put a date on that, so it's fine.
And technically, in Zelda's case, I mean, and other big Nintendo games recently, they do allow themselves a couple of months delay if they feel like they need it.
Yeah,
even once they put a firm-ish date on it.
Yeah, I suppose if it was coming out in October, there's not much wiggle room to get it out in the year, is the thing.
No, but I mean that's where I think when Nintendo are working with a partner, that's when you start getting a bit more pressure. I feel.
I mean that game also looks good. I mean I didn't play Kingdom Battle, but it looks good.
Looks like more of it with some new things, which is what you want, I guess.
Yep, they've shaped. Not just rehashing the actual combat formula, they're making changes to it, everything they probably needed to do. Yeah. In a strange way, those games make sense to me, right? It's like it shouldn't work, but they do. Makes sense.
I mean, would it have been better if somehow Nintendo had come up with this idea by themselves and the rabbits had never got involved? If it was a pure Mario, like XCOM, where you're fighting against, Koopa Troopers or whatever.
Would Mario have ever had guns?
Well, I mean, you could easily replace that with, shells or something.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Or they get a Splatoon game, Splatoon Tactics.
Oh, no, that would have worked. That would have been... But that may be too obvious.
Well, yes, but...
maybe the ability to riff on it. But that's kind of a core part of this, right? Because it's rabbids. I was just about to just call them straight up rabbits. Because it's rabbids, they can riff on it, and it adds that element to it. But then,
Nintendo invented their own rabbit characters at some point for some reason.
I mean, the only thing I can think of that might have made the whole package come together as if it was a Paper Mario tactics game.
I mean,
right?
that is kind of what the battle system in Origami King was, right? It's almost tactics in some ways.
So, perhaps if they had gone that direction.
Or Mario and Luigi before that franchise died.
Yeah, that could have worked too. It would have to have been... Well, I don't know. I guess to make a tactics game work, you need some amount of, that storytelling, which isn't really Mario's normal strong point unless you're in these sort of offshoot games.
Yeah, probably not just straight Mario. You probably need some slight variation of Mario.
No, you couldn't have Mario Kart Mario or Mario Tennis Mario or not even those forms. I mean, Battle Strikers gets a little closer, but even then,
I mean, you could have gone if it was Mario Dodgeball, except it's a tactics game.
Oh wow, okay. But then maybe
you want to make another dumb Mario sports game.
Yeah, but then maybe that would have stepped on the toes of, what was that Dodgeball Academia or something that's come out
As
recently.
If Nintendo care.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That is true. I don't know if they had some kind of partner arrangement with them, but yeah. Anywho. So that was Nintendo not doing a thing.
Yep.
In other news, we've got Halo 2. Do you remember Halo 2?
I remember that game.
Remember Halo 2?
I played it surprisingly recently for me.
It's nearly 20 years old, that thing now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that exciting E3 2003 demo that blew everyone's minds and wasn't actually part of the game. 343 are actually going to make that playable and put it into Master Chief Collection, which is pretty rad.
Cool. That probably will take quite a bit of work.
Yeah, because that thing apparently was like just held together with like sticky tape and bubble gum. You know, it's
like the rest of the Master Chief Collection.
No, I mean like the E3 demo
Yes,
itself.
I know,
Like
that's
even
what you meant. But I mean, it's going to fit right in.
yeah.
Harsh.
I mean, MCC. It's taken a long time. MCC's pretty solid now.
Pretty solid now. Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it's a fun curiosity, isn't it? But like, that'd be fun.
I mean, it's a good.
Like,
I think it's a decent thing for them to do for like I guess the 20th of Halo 2. So maybe that's why they get it ready. Maybe that's soon. My dates aren't great on that. I don't know.
When are they doing the Halo 1 Mac demo?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be insane.
I mean, isn't that Halo
basically
Infinite?
That's. Oh, I suppose.
Kind of.
And like when they go down into the facility, that's basically just the silent cartographer level, isn't it? Like, yeah. Expanded on that. So I don't know what would there be in that demo, other than that you have a stupid high pitched voice.
I guess.
I guess. I suppose there'd be the driving through the things with the wildlife, right?
Yeah,
that's what was missing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is where the Infinite comparison happens.
Yeah. Do you get wildlife?
And some amount
Infinite?
of squad control was that sort of going to be a thing in the Mac version?
I mean, it was unclear because the Master Chief didn't do that much in the apart from appear at the end.
Yeah, Spartans were kind of the late reveal in the original look. Yeah, but that's rad. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to give that a go. For a
that'd
few
be
minutes
fun.
of fun. Sounds like Infinite's in a bad way though. Like I don't know.
Oh.
Like the 343 haven't quite grasped how to do a live game. It seems that their output is just too slow. And when the season 2 reveal was too buggy, when that launched and stuff like that, and they just haven't really got a handle on how to make the game as big as it needs to be. I think. I mean, my biggest complaint was there's just not enough maps. And they haven't really addressed that. There's a couple more in season 2, but not enough. That game just needs more variety. It's still very good, but to keep it alive, I think you've got to pull out quite a few stops these days, and I don't think they're doing it. Poor old Infinite. Hey, that co-op's coming soon.
Eventually,
yeah. With like mission replay options, you can go back to the ones you can't do again. So finally, jeez.
So that means you'll be playing it, Zeg, I guess.
Theoretically, yeah.
I mean, they've already said there are some limitations to the co-op, like because it's open world. Like player 1 will act as a tether point.
Sure, I mean that's kind of just like how Halo always works.
Kind of, yeah. Because you had to go through a loading zone, and player 2 would always like have to catch up. Yeah,
constantly.
But it would be whoever was in front, right, in the old Halo games. But yeah, they're going to make player 1 act as a tether, and if you get too far away, it will do one of those "you're leaving the battlefield" style countdowns.
Should just warp you instantly.
It should warp you back.
Should continue the tradition of confusion in Halo, where the player gets warped and doesn't know where the fuck they are or what they're looking at.
Yeah, well, there shouldn't be any warning at all.
No,
right?
exactly.
Like, you just disappear. Oh, that would be pretty funny. I'd be down for that.
Make it a toggle. But then turn on like classic teleportation, where you don't get any countdown or warning or anything.
No, but you can make it even weirder, right? And then make it so you're not sure which player is going to get teleported when that happens. It just picks one.
Yeah, that would be weird.
I suppose in the actual level-y bits, the game would know who is ahead.
Yeah,
but like in the open world, it would just have to pick one.
I mean, you could organise it by like who's nearest to an actual objective.
I mean, maybe
that would slightly help, I guess.
So there's that. That's Halo news. That sweet Matrix Awakens UE5 tech demo is going to get delisted from the store. In fact, it's probably already been delisted by the time you hear this.
Did you faff around with that?
I did, yeah. I've messed with it a few times because it looks real nice on the Series X.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a slightly odd demo, right? Because it's not intended to run at like game frame rates and things like that. It's just designed to be, hey, here's what you can achieve in UE if you're targeting that cinematic look. And then there's a pretty impressive demo for it.
Oh yeah, it's just how long until we see some games using that tech? Yeah. I mean, obviously, eventually. Probably most games seem to use Unreal Engine, so eventually...
Absolutely. UE4 still is everywhere.
Yeah.
Eventually UE5 will be the everywhere.
I mean, presumably, but like I suppose it's not guaranteed. Maybe if it is actually harder to work with, it won't be, but I think the whole point is it's supposed to be easy to work with.
And I think there's a huge number of... licensable engines competing with it, right? Like it's got Unity, and that's about it, right? Like almost every other engine you see is proprietary in some way, or has to be like carefully considered through licensing. Like it does happen, like every now and then that you get some weird offshoot engines doing well. Like Death Stranding is the one that comes to mind, where it's pulling up Guerrilla Games' engine, whose name I can't remember. What the name of it I can't remember. But that only came about because, I don't know, I think Kojima Productions needed a bit of help. And Sony were willing to help, so got them in contact with Guerrilla. Yeah, so anyway, I'm assuming that's a Matrix licensing thing, is why that's dying. But it was cool to just see more than anything, and then for you to just be all like, hey, this actually runs in real time. What the hell? This is like running old 3D Mark demos on my PC. This is cool. Also, a huge number of gigs for like a couple of minutes. So, a bit of a waste of space on your hard drive, I suppose.
Yeah, a massive download.
Finally, speaking of Kojima, according to Greek news, he's the one that assassinated Shinzo Abe.
I doubt it's how. Although that would be very Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's very Metal Gear 2.
Apparently, right, the story behind this is that there were some questionably racist meme jokes going around, and this...
I mean, I'm sure the racism wasn't in question. I'm sure it was pretty explicit.
Yeah. And, so I think... that for some reason, I guess some not very internet savvy person in Greece, in this Greek newsroom, was just like, "Yep, no, that must be true. let's grab these Kojima pictures and put them all over the news." Oh dear,
terrible.
Oh dear. News people, do your jobs.
Yeah, I mean,
you have literally one job, and that is to verify your source.
Shocking. I mean, the whole thing's really shocking. I mean,
yeah.
I was just talking to my brother last weekend about how it's funny that, I mean, it's great that it's funny that people, there was that period when like there were so many assassinations, right, in the 20th century, in like JFK and the Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and JFK's brother, Robert Kennedy, and like there's so many. Reagan got shot. Literally got shot. Like it used to be pretty common. There were like people were just shot dead, and it doesn't seem to happen anymore. And as soon as I said that, terrible.
Yeah.
But Shinzo Abe got shot.
Who would have thought that you could actually use the word assassination like in a weird way? It's like when you see that come up on telly, and it's not about some arguably horrible dictator. Except they wouldn't even use the word assassinate right in that instance, would they? They would be like in... I don't know, I'm thinking like when Bin Laden was taken down, but it's like technically you could argue that's an assassination, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is, yeah. I suppose that's true.
How much propaganda do you want on the word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he wasn't even like, current.
No,
he'd retired. So is it even an assassination then? Like, if you want to take a slightly more legitimate, like...
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that sort of bothered me about the news coverage about it as well was just like, they were like, he's been shot. And they didn't really tell him, like, but he was shot, like, presumably for a political reason, for some kind of thing. And they didn't really go into any of that. Like, he was like...
No. I suppose
he was talking at the time about something, and then he was just like, didn't cover what he was.
Well,
actually
I think he was just
about.
doing. I think he was just doing a stump speech to help, like a current candidate from his party, and endorse and help a current candidate get elected, not himself.
I mean, surely that's like even if it's like inconsequential like that. Surely that's an important part of the story, right? Just in case. It's
I suppose.
I don't know. Little details.
They don't want to say what the motive of the assassin was until they can figure it out or find out more about it. But yeah,
no,
it's true.
But they wouldn't necessarily be stating that, right? It would just be describing the situation better.
Yeah, maybe it's just badly reported. But yeah, apparently it was like a completely homemade gun, right? Because they have no access to guns, so you had to
I don't know if it was like 3D printed or like constructed out of pipe work himself. I don't know.
Yeah, like a homemade shotgun with the batteries and an electric ignition or something.
Madness.
But yeah, gone to a lot of lengths.
Yeah.
I mean, just shows you can't, no matter how strict your gun laws, you can't prevent it. But surely that's a lot better than just being able to walk into a shop and buy a gun.
Sure.
I mean, the fact that it takes that much effort probably is definitely a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a dedication required. Not that I'm saying that's that spins it in a too positive a light. An obsessiveness required. Here we go.
Yeah,
about that.
obsession required. Awful. Anyway,
it wasn't Kojima.
Kojima is in the clear. I mean, it was not Kojima, and it wasn't a clone of Kojima, and it wasn't a clone of Kojima's like arm.
Yeah, they got reattached to someone else, and he wasn't.
It wasn't like a random medic who had like face grafts to like look like Kojima, and then he'd been hypnotized.
Probably wasn't nanobots.
Probably wasn't nanobots.
Nanobots, son. Nanomachine, son.
You got nanoed.
I mean, I'm sure it was the Patriots. I mean, ultimately.
Probably.
There's some definition of Patriot, probably.
Yeah.
Or the Lale Lulalo, or something like that. Lale Lulalo.
To surpass Metal Gear.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I'm sure that those Greek journalists were playing us like a damn fiddle.
Oh boy. That's news.
What other news we got?
No,
yeah, I think that's about it.
Unless Zach's got some surprise news.
No.
I mean, I guess we could talk about Skate. Skate 4's still a thing. That's all EA really had to say about that.
I feel like I mentioned that last week, but maybe not last podcast.
Because there was leaky stuff last time, and then
I mean, I'd seen the video at some point. I thought that was before the last podcast, but maybe not.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember the timeline on that, but yeah, it's good. EA literally just wanted to say, "Hey, Skate 4's still a thing." EA haven't really done anything this year either, so they haven't done a presentation. And for that matter, neither has Ubisoft.
No.
What do EA even make these days?
Football.
Not FIFA.
Not FIFA.
They're still football, though.
Yeah. EA
and also the other kind of
football. Football. And
EA Football Club.
I guess they still have the golf, right? Like, but
I think we discussed that last time. No one makes golf any longer.
They don't make the golf games anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No one does.
I think yeah, and they haven't put out an NBA game for a long time. I mean, they have Codemasters, so they have F1.
Yep.
Oh right, yeah. I suppose that's under EA.
And that F1 2022 game is supposed to be pretty good. Like, even if it's like a minor incremental update on last year's, it's supposed to be pretty good. I don't know what else you're up to at the moment. Nobody does. Oh, I suppose they're making that Jedi game, but that's Respawn, right, as part of EA.
Well, when everyone is part of EA, you can't say what EA is.
Everyone is part of EA. You're EA, I'm EA.
You can't say what is EA working on, because I don't think there is like a pure EA studio any longer.
True, yeah, I'm not sure I can word it in the way I did just then. Like, I don't know. DICE and BioWare to me seem like the most just EA, other than the FIFA team or whatever, other than EA Sports.
Yeah.
Looking at their EA coming soon. There's very little here. There's the Sims 4 high school years. Great.
God, more Sims 4.
They'll never stop making Sims 4.
Sims 5 will never exist.
No.
There's Madden. There's Dead Space. Which
that Dead Space remake.
Year.
Yeah.
And there's this Jedi Fallen Order sequel. And then, oh yes, EA Sports PGA Tour 2023. They are making one. And that's it. That's all they've got.
Oh, there's NHL. Let's not forget NHL. They do that every year.
It's not on their...
They don't. Even EA don't care about NHL anymore.
It's NHL 22. Yeah. I suppose that's already released.
Yeah, they do still make one of those every year.
Well, at least they are making a golf game.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But will it have in-the-air spins? Like, adjustable spins whilst the ball is in flight? And will it have a DMX song on the intro? Those are important questions.
That's good. It's got all 4 majors. That must be the first time. So it's got the Masters, the PGA, the US Open, and the Open in one game. So that's quite good.
How long until we get a game company making a video game for that stupid spin-off golf league that everyone was getting rolled up about?
Spin-off golf league? A golf league?
Yeah, it's like sponsored by Saudi Arabia or whatever, because of course.
Right. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But it's a bit like a minor golf version of the insane football league that they were going to create.
Yeah.
That got shut down immediately.
Oh, what, the XFL?
No, the what was it called? It was the European...
Oh, you mean association football? The Super League thing?
Super League.
The Super League, yeah.
It's basically that, but for golf. And the PGA got real pissed as soon as any of the golfers started signing up to it, because they were like, no, you haven't read your PGA contract that says specifically that you cannot do that.
Do not do this.
But of course, I'm sure when those golfers signed the original PGA contract, that bit of the contract was completely irrelevant, because there were no other places to sign up to.
Yeah, I guess
so they probably didn't read it.
They probably didn't read, was it a no compete clause?
Yeah,
or which is a bit odd to say about competitors, but non-compete agreements. But I guess that's what it is.
But, having a separate league gives an opportunity for someone else to have a different license. It's like, if the Super League had happened, maybe someone could have, not EA, could have got that.
2K Golf. Mario Golf has a license associated with it.
Yeah, you get a little chibi Tiger Woods, except not Tiger Woods, because he wouldn't go to that, surely.
I mean, he might.
He'd stick to PGA.
I mean, he might. He'd probably, if the PGA golfers all stayed in PGA, Tiger, someone might jump ship, right, to be like, I can win this.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a, shit ton of money, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I haven't heard anything else about that after the initial announcement and outrage period. So whether that even still exists at this point, I don't know. Or whether it just got shut down like the Super League did.
That's going to do it for news.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we're moving straight on to what you've been playing.
Oh, cracking through. There's not a lot of random this time, I suppose. I haven't watched
we can return to the random.
I haven't really watched any films this time. I'm still working through Stranger Things on the televisual front.
Oh, yeah. How far you got through?
I think we've got a couple episodes left.
Oh, right. So you're up to the cliffhanger, I guess, before because there was a gap. They released.
Oh, yeah. No, we're beyond the gap. Yeah.
Oh, you're beyond the gap because there's only 2 episodes in the final release.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I thought it was like half and half split because by the time, didn't even notice by the time we've been watching. So
yeah, because they're quite long, all the episodes.
The last one we watched was like an hour and a half, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the last one might be 2 hours or something.
Nice.
Yeah. But
I mean, I'm enjoying it a whole lot.
It's really enjoyable. Yeah, it's
pretty stupid in places.
Yeah, but totally.
But it is fun at least. It did have one of those classic you got technology wrong scenes.
Oh, which one?
The internet in 1986.
Were they connecting to the ARPANET or?
I don't know. I mean, there were early forms of the internet in '86. That was a thing, but hey, that was HTML code on screen,
yeah. The code was hilarious because it had Flexbox in it, which was really. I love that they always do that.
Yep. So what HTML wasn't invented yet. CSS came a long time after that. That whole,
That
whole geolocation thing about IP addresses came even later than that. So it's like...
Well, I suppose I was wondering about that. I think I did Google that at the time. And it's like, I suppose IP addresses must have existed in 1986, right? Because the Internet Protocol Suite did exist by that point.
I mean, I guess, but they probably didn't, have the authorities to, dish out addresses in the same way we do now, right? So,
probably there was just a central authority.
Probably. Possibly. So, the whole... being able to geolocate an address didn't make sense because there probably wasn't a repository for that stuff. Yeah,
I doubt that would be. Although probably there were so few IP addresses that they were probably just written on maps, being like these ones are in. These,
all you have to do is just phone everyone's house and find out whose phone is engaged.
Phone everyone.
Yeah, because they were kept referencing war games, right?
Yeah.
When did that come out? 1983. Yeah. And that had the modem and the acoustic
but that was
military.
Exactly what. Yeah, but that was how it actually was then, right? It was all direct connection over telephone.
I think they probably did their research. The Stranger Things things, but I don't know why they put bullshit code.
Because they always do.
Why do they do that?
They need something visual, and so they find something code-like, but they never really actually check what it was. I mean,
you could look at the code for why is it always web HTML code that they put up there? The code for the
tutorial JavaScript or something is.
Exactly. It's when they Google it so lazily. It's I'm pretty sure the code for the the hosts in Westworld that they have on those fancy pads is just a bunch of HTML.
Oh yeah, there's a whole website that just finds these examples and tells you exactly what they are.
It's just silly.
I mean, I was this is part of the Linux kernel. Which is
that
actually
would be good. That's a good choice. Just
case,
always use the Linux kernel.
In this case, at this point, you probably could have just taken a screenshot of a telnet, and that would have been close enough for what they were doing.
I mean, but Telnet doesn't.
No, I know, but it's the right idea.
Yeah, I mean,
a series of IP addresses.
Just bung up some binary. Who cares?
I think that would be a bit too obviously not real code, though. I think even regular people would recognise that this is just zeros and ones. This doesn't make any sense. How is anyone reading this?
No, what you obviously want to do is you want to make it an Easter egg in itself, right? So it's some kind of I don't know, Fortran or something, and that just prints a message saying hey, thanks for liking our show or something, like the telephone number that's featured in one episode. You can ring that. That's a thing. They actually thought of that and made that number dialable. So they get some of their Easter eggy ARG stuff right. Just not this one.
No,
this was balls.
I didn't really like that whole subplot of having to go halfway across the country to find Dustin's girlfriend or whatever.
It makes no sense at all.
There was just filler that bit.
Yep,
because they didn't know what to do with those characters.
Yep, it's real stupid.
Yeah,
they've demoted those guys so much.
Yeah,
haven't they?
Everyone in that little camper van or whatever.
Yep, you are the worst. let's get all the worst characters together
and then add a new character who's just like a stoner guy and give him all the lines.
Yep, to try and make this vaguely more interesting.
I did see one review that was commenting that every season they add new characters to the gang and then they have to they never get trim any of them. So At this point they just every single hanger-on character just has have to have their own plot. Development. So who knows what happened for the final season? We have to get. At least they did
for the most part. They kill. They have killed some characters, but they're not usually the ones from old series, right?
No.
I don't think they ever done that.
No.
Normally, it's a character that they've introduced that they will get rid of.
I think it's enjoyable. It's definitely well done. One thing for me that I don't know, that all the Vecna stuff is cool and well executed and stuff, but for some reason the sound effect of the chimes that are supposed to be creepy, there's something about it
sort of bang
that takes me out of it a bit for some reason because I think it sounds a bit silly, the chimes.
Well, it is just a pitched down clock, isn't it? Because they,
Yeah.
spoilers, but they sort of imply that there's some sort of time control there, maybe, but hence why it goes boo. But it's like it's not super clear.
No. Yeah. But otherwise, all the production design and the sound design is good.
Yeah. The twistiness has been acceptable. Acceptable. The odd joke is acceptable.
Indeed.
Stranger Things is cool. I also finished the second part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh yeah,
that show is so stupid. Like, not. I mean, it's like the problem is like it's kind of engrossing. I'm not sure it's. Still haven't hit the period known as peak JoJo yet.
Right.
But I'm about to start that. But like it's just like the worst tropes of anime in a weird way, but just like presented in the most over the top, like almost knowing fashion. So it's like they'll be in this dramatic fight and it will look like it's going badly. Then all of a sudden the tables will turn and everyone will just be like, "Nani?" And like no one will know what just happened. And of course that's when the narrator steps in and is like, "During this moment of panic, JoJo took the advantage and did this. He lured him into a cunning trap." It's like, it's so stupid. And normally all those reveals are like the most impossible thing. like none of this can happen. Fortunately, I survived a fall back from near space because the bit of rock I was on landed in the ocean, and that's totally fine. It's just breaks every law of any kind of physics you could possibly imagine, and it's kind of hilarious for that reason. Like what kind of ridiculous stuff are they going to pretend is doable next?
Pretend is doable, yeah.
I mean, that's what Zerozraf was, right? Pretty much.
And
just keep ramping up to more and more ridiculousness.
And slightly questionable take on the Germans as well. You know, that standard Japanese stuff. And pre-World War II Germans, it's like slightly questionable. Have I padded out a random section well enough?
I think so. I think we could talk about games again. Should we start with Zach? Why not?
Well, I mean, the Steam Summer Sale happened, so now I can actually talk about the stuff that I got.
Woohoo! What did you get?
Well, weirdly, I'm about to not talk very long about Rogue Legacy 2, because I played it for like a couple of hours and then moved on to the other thing I played.
Oh, really?
Not necessarily because I didn't like it or anything, but like the other thing was more interesting for now. But yes, Rogue Legacy 2, I've played it and it's basically Rogue Legacy, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. But more polished, or not that they lack polish necessarily.
No,
how long ago was that Rogue Legacy? It's a while, right? Yeah.
Like at least 10 years, at least.
Oh my god.
It has been ages, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically exactly... The thing is, a lot of it is the same in like a weirdly like specific way. Like it has the exact same, well, I mean, maybe the technology is different, but it has the exact same unlock tree with like the building the manor house thing. It's like that's still the exact same.
Oh, okay. Right. They didn't try and change the setting at all.
Well, I mean, it is a different setting though, that's the thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's a completely different castle that you're invading, but it just has the exact same mechanisms of like you meet death at the entrance and he takes all your money and all that stuff. It's like it's functionally exactly the same as Rogue Legacy. And you still like get the blacksmith and the rune woman,
right, and
the trading dummy.
Well, I guess he knows a good scam when he's got a good scam going there. Why would he change it?
Yeah, except that, like I say, it's a completely different place and the story is completely different as well. And it so far hasn't really explained like whatever the timeline is, because I mean Rogue Legacy 1 doesn't really go into it much in its story, but I mean they do kind of explicitly say like you go into this castle, you lose all your money, and then your children are kind of cursed to just keep doing it until someone wins. Kind of. But they haven't really got into that yet in this one. I mean, it's kind of implied that like when you're doing what is the tutorial level, which is like climbing over the walls of the castle, You find little bits of text log that are like implying that this was a rebel invasion of this castle or whatever, which didn't go according to plan, but like they've set up this route to get in, which you then, I guess at the start of a run it is implied that you do go through that whole route every time because you like drop in from a opening.
Oh, I see, like the tutorial bit, but you skip.
Yeah, you just go straight to the actual game. But yeah, it's not really got. I haven't found enough of the story elements to determine what the hell's actually going on yet. There's some kind of weird. This castle is home to some kind of weird, powerful like group of dudes who like hold sway over the land. But then like I've just started getting to the point where it's going to do an explanation of why the level is randomized, where it's like the calls it out for this new section that I've just entered, where it's like, oh, the land out there is getting all fucked up and it's all moving around too much. We can't actually get crops out of there any longer. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, it's Rogue Legacy. Although, like, I haven't really played it enough to fully get into it again, which I think is making me struggle somewhat with the controls, because obviously Rogue Legacy has slightly strange controls. They have decided that now you just get the dash by default. You don't have to unlock it, because basically everyone used the dash permanently as soon as you got it in Rogue Legacy 1.
Yeah, it was kind of an essential part of, like...
Yeah. You don't automatically get a double jump, which I often used in Rogue Legacy 1. But you do get the dash, and then you have the dash from the start. The first upgrade you find turns it into the air dash, so you can actually do it in the air.
Yeah, that was useful.
And then, but then that's the thing, is like these upgrades that you find are in the castle, like in the actual game, rather than home upgrades.
Oh, I see.
So they're not like runes any longer.
You got to find them like a drop.
Well, no, it's not like a drop. It's like a shrine that permanently upgrades you inside the level. But it's not like the runes that you toggle on and off at the Enchantress.
So you have to find it you still have to find it on a run?
Yeah, you find it in the run.
Okay. Yeah.
In a specific room. And then it basically warps you into like a puzzle room that, tutorializes the thing you've just got.
Yeah. But then you get that forever?
Yeah, you get that forever after.
For any run?
For any run after that. But it's not like the runes which were toggleable before.
You just keep it.
You just have that upgrade permanently.
Okay.
So so the dash gets upgraded to the air dash, and then the second one you get is basically the one that lets you read the lore. You can understand the ghosts, so you can actually find out what's going on. And then the third one, which I've only just got at this point, is this is where I'm starting to get worried about how difficult this might get, because Rogue Legacy 2 is putting much more focus on like the movement tech, which starts with the downward strike. You remember the downward strike in Rogue Legacy was for basically deploying those platforms, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Well, now they're putting much more focus on that idea. Most of the time you don't deploy platforms, it's just like a thing that you can hit, and then if you downstrike it, you can go up. So you can basically like hit it multiple times to gradually push you up as far as you can by just bouncing on something. But the trouble is, like, so they've started focusing more on the movement tech for moving through the levels, and now this upgrade to the downward strike is like, well, it's basically like Cuphead. You parry a bullet using the downward strike.
Yeah, got you.
So you can bounce. And now I'm like, oh, this is going to get really annoying, isn't it? Because you're going to be like, you're having to like do a jump, but timing it to a projectile that's been fired from some enemy.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a thing.
That's going to probably be quite annoying.
That's a bit... I think Shovel Knight did that in spots.
Yeah,
as well. Kind
of. But then like the actual problem I'm having with that currently, and I'm not sure what I need to go and look at the actual options menu again, is that the downstrike in Rogue Legacy you just push down, literally just down.
Yeah, there was no like down and attack.
Yeah, well, I think you could change it between down and attack and just down.
Oh, could you?
And obviously just down was like better because it was much easier to pull off. But now there is an option. I think the option says that you can have downstrike be a configurable button, like just a standalone button.
Oh, okay.
Instead of down. Except it's not instead of down, it's instead of down and jump, which is like That's just confusing me every time because I'm trying to do a downwards attack using the attack button, but the downwards attack is down and jump, not down and attack.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
So that's mostly what's getting me at the moment. But I'm not sure if you change that setting that says you can set it to a button, does it literally just mean a button?
Yeah.
Could I not configure it to be down and attack?
Yeah.
Because I'm using all the other buttons. Because you have jump, obviously you have attack, you have your class ability, you have your magic, so that's all 4 face buttons. There's a toggleable option to whether you want directional dash or dash only in the direction you're facing.
That class ability is new, isn't it?
No, because you always had the class ability, like the barbarian shout or whatever.
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry, I remember. Yeah.
There's an option to toggle between directional and direction you're facing dash, which because I'm going back to how I played Rogue Legacy, I prefer 2 buttons, so you can dash backwards, basically, rather than only having to turn and then dash.
I see.
Because if you don't turn around, you just dash into the thing you're trying to avoid, and that's going to be annoying. So that uses both shoulders, and then you've got, like, I forget what the other ones are. Like, right triggers for, like, reading stuff, which is maybe that one can be rebound. And then left trigger, I forget what that does, but it does do something. So, like, all the buttons are bound, basically. And I'm like, where am I going to put down?
Stick click.
I could, but that seems too difficult to pull off, considering how much they're now using it.
And also, I'd be clenching all the time.
Well, yeah, that's a Rob problem.
I wouldn't do that.
But yeah, it's considering how much they're starting to use it. I'm like, might be a problem. Maybe I should put, like, I could put just, like, the magic on like a stick click, because, like, whoever uses that, really. Maybe you will in Rogue Legacy 2, though. Although, actually, that's another thing that I found difficult to get used to so far, is, like, a lot of the magic is now aimed.
Oh.
So you have to hold down the button, and then a line comes out, and then you use the stick to aim.
That's new. Yeah.
Except it's not right stick aiming, it's left stick aiming, so you're pausing your movement to aim, and then you release the button.
Yeah.
Which is kind of difficult to get used to.
I mean, that would save you a button if, like, most of them were just like a right stick, like dual stick, like action.
Yeah, maybe. But then, so I've only played regular knight class except for once where I tried out the archer because I was like, this is going to be weird because it then all your attacks use that aiming system. So every time you attack, you're drawing your bow, and then an aiming line comes up, and then you release at the right time to get criticals. And you can, like, do it in midair. Like, you can jump, start an attack, draw your bow, which gives you a slight slowdown, and then fire downwards, which, like, gives you a little extra jump by the force.
Oh, wow.
So you can, like, jump over enemies and shoot downwards at them, which is very difficult to get used to.
Pro strats.
But yeah, that's kind of weird. I haven't tried any other classes yet, but I wonder how many other ones are going to be more weird. I have unlocked, like, a lance class, so that's going to have more range, presumably.
How many sort of odd genetic traits have you come across? Like,
well, I've also been somewhat avoiding those as well.
Okay,
I did do a nostalgia run, but that's just free. That's not actually a dangerous upgrade.
What does that do?
It makes it, like, black and white.
Oh, I see that kind of, yeah.
But so there is actually a reason now in, like, when you're choosing which, you're one of your free children or whatever to use, you get a gold bonus if you use the traits that are bad. So there's actually a reason to make it harder for you, basically.
No, that's good. That seems necessary, actually. I suppose they do need to encourage.
Yeah. And also, you don't know what they are. You don't know what anything is until you use it, basically. Even if you find, like, an item in a run, because it will give you item drop rooms where it's like a choice of 2, and they have, like, a vague description until you actually take them, and then they tell you what they really are.
Okay, so, like, but is that, like, on the... so even if it's an item you've never seen before, or is it, like, only the first time you see it? Yeah,
first time you see it, yeah.
Okay. So next run you'll know what it is.
Yeah. Same for the traits. So once you've used it, it just gives it a proper description.
Yeah, I think games like Neon Abyss had the same approach to that stuff, where it'd be like the icon would always be the same, but you wouldn't know what it was.
Right.
And then you picked it up, and then you'd use it, and you'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's what that is." So you'd be looking for those on future runs. And
then there are some slightly extended mechanics, like when you find these item rooms that give you a choice of 2 items. I don't know why they specifically chose to make this separate, but basically you have a item limit. Essentially, it's called resolve. So you can only pick up so many, and if you go past the limit, your health goes down.
I see.
So you have a certain amount of space to pick up items, but like your amount of resolve is directly related to your weight limit on armor. So I don't know why it's a separate system, really. So when you equip more armor, it upgrades your armor class and go by like weight. It says like you're heavy or whatever, and then when you're heavy, you just have less resolve. Maybe there's another mechanic later where these two things need to be separate, but at the moment it just seems like a weird extra step to just call it resolve.
Sure.
But yeah, same upgrade tree.
Your encumbrance.
Yes.
Resilience.
Yes, basically. But yeah, this is the same upgrade tree as like Rogue Legacy 1. You've got your weight limit, so you can equip different bits of the armor, and then your rune limit and then upgrade your health and mana and whatever through the castle. Unlock new classes, build out the thing. But the other one thing that I'm not entirely sure I like as much so far, but makes more sense from this being a more expansive game, is like the different areas are locked off until you reach progress milestones. So like if you go, it's sort of the same layout of map initially. You have the castle bit in the middle, and then there's like one up, one down, and one right. And the right hand one is the one that you can go to immediately. But if you go up or down, there's just like a obstruction where it specifically is like, you don't have the thing you need to get through here yet.
Okay.
So you do have to do them in the specific order. You can't just go anywhere. Like you theoretically could in Rogue Legacy, but
there was a sort of preferred order because of raw difficulty.
Well, that's the other thing, that like technically, like everything was kind of the same difficulty in Rogue Legacy. Like the later enemies were technically harder, but they weren't necessarily. There was no specific reason that you always had to go through every area. You could just go to the end area first if you were good enough by that point.
Sure, yeah.
But then there's another thing I need to play more to be sure about this, but I think they've changed it so that the enemies level up during the run. So like at the start of a run, the enemies are actually easier, like they take less hits, and then as you go further, they actually get more difficult during the run.
So you could do a short run and actually have an easier time of it, potentially?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm wondering, is like if you've got to the point where you've unlocked the ability to go to the different areas, if you go to one of the harder areas sooner, does that make it slightly easier because the enemies will be easier because you're earlier in the run?
Yeah. And that's actually what's scaling the difficulty, not the order.
Yeah, maybe. Because the thing is, when you go to these entrance areas, it brings up like a 5-star rating of how difficult it is, which also implies there's more than 4 areas, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Because otherwise that'd be kind of pointless.
Unless there's a very sudden jump between 3. Like, we got to
but
3,
also,
and it's
why,
like, now you're at 5.
Why even have that if every area is gated off until you have got far enough in the game to get into it? Because like it kind of implies that it's a hard area if you can't go there because the developer's preventing you from going there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I haven't fully understood yet about Rogue Legacy 2, I guess.
But that's potentially the sign of a good roguelike?
Well, maybe.
I mean, how does it satisfy in the random department? Because that's also
thing.
A key to this, right?
Yeah, I guess I haven't gotten far enough to know yet. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it has like an encyclopedia or whatever, maybe to tell you, like, give you a vague idea how many different items there are or whatever. But you know, the enemy variance hasn't been high yet. But that's more based on area in that game. Yeah. You're going to see a lot of the fireball wizards, and
I mean, looking back, it wasn't actually huge in the original. But you'd think they'd try and keep up.
So far, I haven't seen any ghost paintings yet, which is good, I guess.
Right, yeah, those bloody things.
And I did eventually find the entrance to the first boss room, and I tried it, but that was the run I was playing the archer, and I got that boss like 3/4 of the way down its health bar, but like now I'm wondering how you even would fight that boss as a melee character, because I mean I was standing so far away and just shooting arrows at it. It's like, wow, this is almost easy, but then like, how would you do this in melee?
Would you have to like bullet jump your way up to him, or?
Well, probably not the bullet jump though, because that was before. That's before that unlock. Technically, I mean, you can do it in a different order. And there's like weird I mean, there's all the fairy chest things where like do this room in a specific way to get to the chest. all those mechanics are still there.
Right, yeah.
Hidden walls,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So we'll see if I play that some more. But the reason I didn't play that more is because I was immediately distracted by Tunic instead.
Ah, sweet. I'm excited to get your take on this.
Well, for as much as non-spoiler spoiler as we have to. I mean, yeah, it's good, obviously.
It's good. Yeah. Game of the year contender, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
might
definitely
be
up
in the
there
bag
for me
at this
moment.
point.
Yeah. Right
Yeah.
up there for me.
But like, I started to feel like the comparisons to Fez were getting a bit much. But that's like, I think that's just because that's kind of unavoidable in that kind of game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like, even the concepts of that game and Fez are just like so aligned that it's just there's naturally going to happen in kind of the same way.
100%. Yeah. I don't think they do the same. They have a similar vibe more than they have the same thing.
Well,
right?
I mean, you do a thing that fucks up the world, and then there's a new obstacle that gets in the way, and it's just like, that is kind of exactly the same as Fez's black holes.
to a point, yeah.
But yeah. So, I mean, I've got through the majority of it. I'm at the point where I'll probably take a shot at deciphering the language, because I have ideas.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, I was trying to remember if I'd spoken to you about how that
Well, you
works.
mentioned it on the podcast, I think, when you said that that was one of the things that you just ended up looking at.
I would never have got it, yeah.
But I can see where the clues are, obviously, to the actual language. Because, I mean, you kind of have to use it without actually knowing it in a couple of the other puzzles.
Sure, there are patterns, right,
Yeah.
that you start picking up on. And you can figure out certain parts of it. And I guess, yeah, those are your entry points. Once you know those.
Especially because there's, like, extra notes in the manual that even start breaking it down from that entry point.
Yeah. Have you got one of the like back note pages that seem to suggest it? Yeah.
So that should help. And then, like, obviously, in the second half of that game, you get a whole shit ton more text to look at, which probably will help as well. But,
it's kind of a game of two halves, weirdly, though. Isn't it? More so than Fez. It's like you've got your sort of traditional Zelda-esque adventure, and then the puzzle side.
Well,
and it's all kind of, most of that is kind of like, was it in the back half, I guess. Yeah. It just suddenly comes to the fore.
But it is a problem that I think that game maybe doesn't quite have enough mechanics either in puzzle or fighting. Like, the whole second half is basically one puzzle.
Yeah, it does lean on a mechanic heavily, yeah.
And then the combat, like...
But then, again, not that dissimilar from Fez.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Fez did really only have one mechanic, technically. But then, like, the combat... Like, I feel like it tries to give you options, but none of them are actually useful. Like, right in this late game point, I came across an enemy where basically all I was doing was just dodge hit for like 5 minutes, because that was the only realistic way to actually fight it.
So, I'm trying to figure out where you are. Presumably you've done the rat boss kind of guy.
Yeah.
Was that not the worst? Like, I don't know. That was my boss. That was my like this sucks boss.
He was all right, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, there's cover on that fight, which helps.
Yeah, to a point. Like, you can get him stuck
and just
times.
Move around more.
Yeah, but I don't know. That was the one to me where it's like the hitboxing for this guy is terrible.
Well, it's just because he knocks you back so much, it's really annoying to actually get your hits to connect. That's the actual problem.
Yeah, no, I think I had more of a like literal visual problem, right? Where his swipe was going was not always tying up with how I was.
Well,
being
no,
hit,
I think the problem that I was having with it is that it's because when you're locked on and you're trying to shield something, you rotate to face it. But then when he does his dash attack, his sword swing goes like slightly behind him, so it like goes around your shield essentially.
You might be onto something, yeah, but that shouldn't be how that works, right? Because it's not really the spirit of that sort of combat. I don't think like him having such a large arc to his sword swing that it's actually.
Well, I mean,
hitting you in the butt.
all the bosses have giant arcs on everything.
I know, but it's
And then if there is another problem with that, it's that like I think maybe they could have put more telegraphing down. Like I don't know. Maybe not straight up Guild Wars-esque like ring on the floor or whatever, but like
Sure.
particle effects or something to give a vague hint of where the attack's going to hit.
yeah.
Because some of the really big sword swipes that some of those bosses do, it's just like, I mean, it hits on a giant arc, but like how far outwards exactly?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is that stuff is hard to judge most of the time, but I think maybe it's just certain bosses that was a lot easier than others to actually get the judgment right, and
I think
and there were definitely some cheese tactics on some bosses.
well, I mean, a lot of them are cheese.
Yeah. Like the massive guardian thing where you can just like rush under it half the time.
Yeah, once you outmaneuver it sideways and it can't turn to keep up, and you just sort of like run alongside it for a lot of that fight. Not that you really need to, because once you understand that thing, it's like not actually that difficult.
That one wasn't so bad.
Because I think the dash attacks are the actual problem, where like when an enemy does a lunge attack, because of that theoretical like backwards hit zone and stuff, and because it's very easy to like. It's like if you try and push forwards too much while they're dashing towards you, you just get out of range in the other direction because they go past you, and it's like that's not helpful in any case.
Yeah,
there's a lot of situations where it's better to just like kind of keep an exact amount of range that will cause them to dash, but not too far that they'll do a different attack or whatever, which can go be kind of awkward. And then realizing whether you want to dash, whether you want to like evade towards or away or sideways.
Yeah, that can sometimes be. Because the wind-ups for attacks are so short.
Yeah.
It's very hard to judge which dodge you need to do sometimes. Although that gets mitigated somewhat when you get a certain power.
Well,
but even then, it can still be tricky.
Well, that was what I was saying about that one specific enemy, which I guess was technically a mini boss, but like it really was just like I'll just go through you and then hit you once, but then you turn around so fast I can't do anything else, so I'll just keep doing that for 5 minutes.
I think I know which one you mean.
Grinding it down.
I think I know which one you mean now. Okay. Yeah, because I did pretty much the same thing.
But that seems like a place where that game maybe could have used some more mechanics, or just like the trouble is to add more mechanics, you'd have to slow things down a bit, really. If you wanted to make even Hyrule Warriors grade of like combo system, whatever.
Right.
You'd need to slow everything down a bit.
Maybe, yeah.
To be able to pull that off.
Or have a slightly more well-defined hit stun kind of system.
Yeah, because
so you can hold things in a combo a bit better.
Well, maybe, but that would probably be too powerful then.
Yeah, possibly.
Because when you do get that stun bar to actually stun things, it's just like then you can just totally annihilate things and just keep covering them.
Most of the time.
Once you get powerful enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, on like world enemies, but not on the sort of like stronger ones.
But yeah, there's like... Because they give you that stupid parry, and how is that even useful ever?
The shield bash, yeah, that is the worst. Because the timing is so real awkward on it, right? Because it's one of those problems where it's like enemy wind-ups are next to none. Your wind-up on that particular attack is ages.
Yep, it takes forever.
Like, the earth has frozen over and thawed itself out by the time you've like slightly mushed your shield in front of you. It's an incredibly terrible attack. I have used it. I did use it just for a laugh on occasion, just to see like, does this actually work? Does this do a thing? And it's like, and a lot of the time, yeah, it does actually do a thing. It's just impossible to actually use in real combat.
I mean, it theoretically would be good for like certain boss attacks, except the other problem is that they don't necessarily telegraph which attack they're doing distinctly enough.
No.
So you don't really have enough time to see, like, oh, this is the big sword sweep, this is the one I should parry.
Yeah.
And I'll have plenty of time to do it because that attack takes ages to charge up, but because the animation isn't quite distinct enough from the other ones, you don't recognise it quick
There's
enough.
never enough time, and it's also... But it's not like they often follow a set pattern of attacks, right? Either.
No, I mean, it's just which attack is this?
Yeah.
They don't necessarily combo them or anything.
Exactly.
Or do them in an
It's
order.
not like, he's going to do 2 of these, and then he's going to do the thing I want to parry. So it's like, I can be ready for it. It's like, it doesn't follow those rules.
But yeah.
But that's, in a weird way, it's like, I know that is the majority of the game, like, or at least the majority of the first half of the game, but that very much wasn't the big draw for me.
No.
in this experience. Because most of the time it is enjoyable. Like even with its flaws, that combat is enjoyable.
Yeah,
it's not the main draw of the experience.
Although it did feel like this is, as we said about the second half of the game being basically one puzzle. And I mean, there is a second mechanic that's important for the second half of the game. But the trouble is that like that second mechanic kind of eliminates all the other puzzles that you thought were there. You thought this world was more complicated, but then you get this one thing, and it's like, oh, this is just the solution for everything. Or 2 things, I guess.
Yeah. Man, I'll have to talk about it off air.
Well,
but,
yes,
like, but there was one thing I was chasing for ages before I realised that was not a thing I needed to chase. And I just, yeah. And it did. The game did that to me a few times, where it's just like, oh, I must need a thing. Oh no, I don't need a thing.
And also, I mean, maybe this is too much spoilers to even talk about with Rob directly because I haven't finished the game, obviously. But
yeah, I'd have to get a feel for where you are.
But there's one item that you get quite in the early game, which seems entirely pointless. I can't work out what its actual reason for existing is. I mean, active item, not just like an item. And I'm like, why? What is this? How is this useful?
In the early game?
Well, relatively. Well, maybe I guess as soon as you find it, it is kind of hidden.
Well, there's definitely one item that I never found a purpose for.
Yeah, exactly. At least.
But I can't remember where I got it. Because I think it might have been one of those items I missed and then found later.
Right. Yeah, you could easily miss it, I guess.
Yeah, but if I did, I thought if it's the one I'm thinking of, like one of the puzzles that I ended up not really getting and ended up having to look up. I thought this was for that, and I came up with an elaborate way of trying to figure out what the solution might be. What wasn't a thing?
Yes, well, I mean, that is the thing that, like, I don't know, like, some of the stuff in the manual that tells you what to do is just like, okay, that's fine. But then sometimes it's like, I don't think it, like, misdirects you or anything, but it's just like, this is still not sufficient information. I mean, when you translate it, probably it'll be fine.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm sure if you had the actual words, like, everything would be
well, or maybe, I mean, some of the words that they use specifically are not, like, they specifically are designed to misdirect you in the late game. Kind of. The name of at least one thing. But I don't know.
Right, okay, so you do know what that is. Yeah, that was going to be my primary question to you. Okay, yeah. That was the thing I was chasing. And then realised I didn't have to chase.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also that was me accidentally getting misdirected by the manual. Because there's in the item page, there's a blacked out item, and I was like, that's got to be it. And then I forgot about this whole other item I had that exactly fits in that hole. I was like, oh yeah.
Yep, I did that. It's hilarious how many of these are ringing true.
Yeah.
This is a hell of a game.
Yes, and I'll probably finish it in the next couple of hours, probably. Depending on whether I can be bothered to do the whole translation effort.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be super impressed if you get it, honestly. Get the translation bit down. There is definitely one puzzle that you 100% need to have the translation for.
Yeah, I think I've got like 5 more of the one thing and then like 3 more of the other thing.
Anyone can work out one of those puzzles quickly at Zach, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll be nice to see. It'll be interesting to see if you got misled by the other one I couldn't get.
And also because I listened back to the old podcast to make sure I wasn't going to accidentally spoil myself from talking to Rob about it this much.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've also been pre-warned about doing the A ending before doing the B ending.
Yes, 100% do that. Just don't 100% the game first. Otherwise, you'll miss an achievement.
Yeah,
and that's a real bummer.
I mean, I did once I remembered that you said that, I was like, oh yeah, this does kind of imply that just from what knowledge you get. It's like, oh yeah, that sort of does suggest.
Go and fight the thing early.
Yeah,
that's my advice. Go and fight the thing early,
but not too early.
Yeah,
unless you're super hardcore.
I mean, you can theoretically you can.
I mean, I presume that the first time you do it is theoretically winnable because it has a health bar.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to be hella hardcore to do it, and honestly, I should look up if that's even possible. Like what happens, but it's kind of a key part of it's a key moment, like normally. But I reckon you could do it. You'd have to you basically have to no hit it.
Pretty much.
You'd have to avoid all damage.
That's Tunic. And then that was more or less all I played, apart from a small amount of Factorio and multiplayer. We're going back in at last.
We'll go back in.
But we're going back into space exploration again. So
okay.
Although
the sort of expansion-y bit.
Yeah, the sort of expansion. But the thing is, so they hired the guy who made space exploration to make the actual Factorio expansion, basically. Which suggests what that expansion might be. But since the last time I played exploration, it has actually still been updated. And I'm not sure whether I just missed the last few updates before he got hired or whatever, or whether someone else is working on it now or something. But it has actually changed in a few, I don't know if they're super significant, but a few weird ways. Like they've changed the deep core mining. Used to be you just put the mining drill anywhere because obviously it's going into the core, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But now there's specific points that you have to put it on, so that's slightly different. It doesn't sound like they've changed the actual mechanics of it much, where if you have multiple core miners, it decreases output the more you have essentially. So the second one is half as effective as the first one or whatever, so it's diminishing returns.
Sure.
That still seems to exist. It's just now you have to put them in specific locations for some reason.
Softer dirt.
I guess. I mean,
scans indicate there's less hard rock.
Maybe they just wanted to slightly more encourage the logistics effort of Factorio, because if you, theoretically in the late game of space exploration, if all you were looking for was to get the core mining because it's an infinite mine essentially, you just land on a planet, slap down the core mines right next to the launch pad and just leave. Because it's you can put them anywhere and there's no logistics required. Whereas if you have to put them in a specific location, that does at least require some belts and shit.
Always belts.
And then that makes more sense for the planets that are super infested or whatever, where you'd have to actually clear out enemies to be able to get to the core mining spots.
Sure, I guess it means there's more game there.
Yeah, exactly. It forces a little bit of the actual gameplay to happen. And there's a few other things that seem to have changed in the late game about how transferring stuff by rocket between planets works. The fuel system is maybe a bit more complicated now. You can go up when you go into orbit. You have a space capsule, which is the bit that you go in and that goes on top of a rocket. And the space capsule has its own fuel supply and can only carry so much stuff. But when you're launching the main rocket up, that uses the main rocket, but when you're launching the space capsule down, it uses its own fuel, and then that's dependent on your actual personal inventory counts as the weight for that. So you actually have to have the right amount of fuel to deorbit, maybe. Although then there's the crash land option where you can deorbit for cheap, but then it destroys half your stuff or whatever. But that was kind of always there. If you don't land a rocket on a pad, but you just dump the payload, then some of the payload gets destroyed.
Okay, yeah.
So then that was sort of
crash the rocket somewhere else.
Yeah, and then all the bits of rocket land nearby that you can salvage what you can, rather than putting it on an actual pad. But yeah, we're still, I don't know, 10 hours away from even launching a rocket. That is the one problem with playing the space exploration mod, is you just have to play regular Factorio first.
Yeah. Because it's the mod, not the variant, right? Like the official variant.
Well, no, it's because the whole point of space exploration is launching rockets, and launching rockets is the end of Factorio.
Yeah.
You still have to go through the whole regular Factorio tech tree first.
You gotta get there
to get to the rockets, to actually go to the space stuff.
We should be seasoned pros at that now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm expecting us to get through the regular Factorio game pretty quick. Although, as ever, the natural conflict of multiplayer of conflicting design philosophy.
Yeah.
It was funny, really, because I was building my typical main bus where it's like here's all the belts and resources going in a nice straight line, and pretty much the first thing that was built was like, it's right in the way. And I was like, okay, it's going to be like this, is it?
Great. What was what is the speed run time for Factorio these days? Like regular Factorio.
Well, what are we talking about in terms of how hardcore a speed run?
Well, okay.
Because like the real speed runs of like, if we're counting to launching a rocket, is like 2.5 hours or something.
Okay, that's more reasonable than I was sort of expecting.
It might be lower than that. I haven't seen a super hardcore run for a while. But yeah, and then like obviously the speedrun achievement is like 8 hours,
right,
for launching a rocket.
Yeah. Jeez, and that's the achievement target. But yeah,
that's the fast achievement target. The other, the slow achievement target is like 15.
But you watch any GDQ?
No, not really.
I caught the Metal Gear Solid 2 run. That was fun. Just because I didn't realize how my knowledge of Metal Gear Solid 2 is pretty weak, right? Probably compared to the others.
Right.
And it's like I didn't realize the whole thing pretty much just is quite a constrained game. Oddly, it feels like, even compared to MGS1, like the fact that it's pretty much all taking place on a couple of oil rigs.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, and thus there isn't a huge amount of like visual variety throughout the entire experience. And it's like, yeah, okay, you were just blitzing through it, of course, and glitching it in a couple of places as you would.
As you do.
But it's just the scope of MGS2 seems really low compared to like the scope of the later games, or even the first game. I don't know. I felt like there was perhaps more variety on whatever island.
Shadow Moses,
that's it. Yeah.
Is that right? Because isn't it like Big Shell is trying to recreate Shadow Moses or something? Right?
Oh, I don't even know what the plot
it's like
a big
insane conspiracy, and like Raiden is supposed to be, supposed to be Solid Snake, or they put Raiden in the position of Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid 1 on purpose, trying to recreate it. It's really weird. It's really weird. Like, everything about it is weird.
See.
Except that the former president of the United States is a clone of Big Boss, and he has an eye patch and giant gorilla mech suit things.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Speaking of glitches, that did remind me. I did actually, I guess, I thought this was going to be uncommon, but I like going back to Tunic. Not long, pretty much immediately after I got the second half's main thing, I fell off the land and died. I fell into the water and died.
Oh.
I was like, that's not meant to happen.
No. I did glitch it out a couple of times. In a similar way, like I clipped through something that I shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, there's clipping through things, but that, not to go into spoilers, but that's kind of half the point of that thing almost, in some ways. But then, like, literally within 5 minutes of getting it, I was just like, whoop, and then I fell in a watery hole and died. I was like, well, that sucks. But the thing is, I thought that was going to be weird, but then I was watching, like, a random video of someone else playing the early game, and they just, like, rolled at the bottom of a staircase that went into water, and they clipped out off it and died. I was like, well, okay, I guess it's not perfect in terms of collisions.
And for me, I was trying to get behind one of the waterfalls that you actually can't get behind.
Right.
I was trying. I thought, like, maybe there is a...
Oh, you think there's a platform back there that you could get to?
Like, I sort of thought, just like, oh, this can't be, I don't know, every waterfall in that game.
Yes, every waterfall has a hole.
Seems to have something behind it, except this one. And I was like, come on. come on, there's got to be something here. Like, perhaps I'm not just doing it again and I clicked through it and died. It's like, okay, no, there isn't anything here.
In some ways, I was almost surprised that there wasn't an achievement for it. Because that seems that's one of those kind of meta achievements that you'd get in a game like that, you would think.
It's like, no, you're not supposed to be here.
Because, I mean, at least you do die. And it also puts your spirit, like, on the edge of where you fell off. So you can actually get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty... when that does happen, it's not the end of the world.
Although, again, speaking of, like, maybe slightly underdeveloped mechanics, it's like the spirit thing is kind of pointless. Like, 20 quid, who cares?
Spirit thing.
Get your spirit back. The corpse run or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, that's not... It's not worth it half the time.
But, like, that's it's like, it's just a weird thing that they included because it's from Dark Souls, but it doesn't function as bad. It's not as harsh as Dark Souls, so it's kind of pointless.
It does have a benefit, right? The corpse run, because it's like if you die in a boss fight and your corpse is there, you can actually use the corpse reclaim to your advantage because it causes a shockwave.
Tiny, like one stun.
Yeah, but it can get you out of a moment.
But it's not like all of your money goes into it. That would be the Souls way.
Yeah. No, it's not that hardcore, fortunately. I mean, it's not hardcore at all, really. Yeah, it's just not really worth worrying about.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, really. It's just like...
Again, especially towards the back part of the game where you're just gaining enough cash through just murdering everything.
Like, why include it at all if it's just going to be that pointless? I mean, apart from it being a... I mean,
it's a sort of reference to itself in a way.
Sure, and they do also sort of lore it up a bit later on. I guess.
They lore it up.
They should have lored it up a bit more. They should have... Well, okay.
There's definitely stuff about the world that I wish they had more of a conclusion to. Like, there's a lot of unexplained stuff in that game, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. Like,
I mean, they should have made it so you had to die at some point. I mean, apart from you kind of do, but not by choice, I guess, is what I would say. They should have made it a mechanic.
Yeah, okay. I can see what you're getting at. Yeah, make it so there's a puzzle around it.
Yeah. Because that's what I thought the graveyard was implying, but it was something else.
I mean, yes and no.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a yes and no problem. Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, I'm done.
Right. What have you been finding, Rob?
Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag of stuff this time. I've been kind of like only dabbling in Shredder's Revenge, that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. So I still haven't actually finished every single level on that thing because I'm only like dipping in when I've got like a super short period of time. Because each level is only like 10 minutes long. Not even that, it's probably like 7 minutes long in some cases. They're short things. And that game's only got 16 levels, I think. So, yeah, I could have finished it already if I really went at it, but I haven't really gone at it. A bit of me's all like, well, I'm pretty sure this is going to play a whole lot better in 2-player anyway, or multiplayer. So it's fine in single player, don't get me wrong, but there's a little bit of me that's just like, you know what, this is going to really sing in co-op. So yeah, I'm just not playing it as much as that because I sort of don't want to necessarily overdo it before I have those experiences. If that's ever going to be a thing, if I can ever convince Zach to do it with me, it does have like a separation between the story mode and the arcade mode, where the arcade mode is just like a lived run. It's like, hey, get through all the levels with limited lives. Do it proper, yo.
Right.
Lived. Okay, yeah.
Yes, lived. You have lives. You have a limited pool of lives. Whereas like in story mode, you do a level and you get like 3 lives to do the whole level, right? And they restock when you go in and do another thing. So yeah, the arcade mode is probably where it's at for that kind of stuff. But yeah, that game's still real good. I still love its super old school music aesthetic in particular. Like it just oozes 90s.
Nice.
I'm having a good time.
Best audio thing.
Yeah, possibly. It might be my favourite soundtrack of the year so far.
Sweet.
It's pretty good. Well, actually, the music in Shadow Warrior 3 was also pretty good. if I'm being honest. I have played through that entire thing. And I really quite like it. It's
So what is this?
Shadow Warrior 2 and 3. Shadow Warrior back in the day was a I believe it was a build engine game, and build engine is Duke Nukem 3D.
Right.
I think it was like a total conversion, or one of those back in the days where they took that engine and made a sort of ninja-y spin on it.
Okay. What with shurikens?
Yeah, I guess. I never actually played that one back then. And I never played Shadow Warrior 2 either, which was the relatively recent revival of it, but turning it into a more modern day shooter. And again, I can't really speak to what that game was, because I've skipped all the way to 3. And in this incarnation, at least, it is a Doom-like a 2016 Doom-like.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, super fast-paced, kind of like designated arenas where you're gunning everything down, but with an Asian bent, shall we say, an Asian style to everything. Yes, you're taking down demons, you're taking down Shogai
and triads.
no triads.
Okay.
No. These are all demons this time. You're in a sort of weird post-apocalyptic world where I guess in the previous games things went bad. Like you save the world, but your saving the world actually caused the end of the world.
Maybe the triads were the last game and they did something real bad.
Well, kind of, yeah. So you play as Lo Wang, who is which might tell you something about the tone of this game, by the way. Who is an assassin?
What, the name?
Yeah, Lo Wang.
Lo Wang.
Who was previously an assassin, but he's like the last ninja left on the planet, and he's not a very good one, apparently. The game tries to set him up as not a very good one. Who is forced into working with, I assume, the bad guy from one of the previous games to try and kill this ridiculous dragon that is eating all of the chi from the world, leaving it in a cold and uninhabitable state. But at least where you are, things are still marginally still okay. But super destroyed and stuff like that. Thus begins your quest to shoot every demon in sight with guns for some reason. You also get a katana, because of course you do. And that's kind of like this game's vibe. Yeah, it's Doom. But with some changes. So, one of my favourite jokes in the game, relatively early on, well, maybe a third of the way through it, is by this point you've had a grappling hook for a little bit, but a character notices you have a grappling hook and he's like, that you didn't have before, and he's like, yeah man, you got to have a grappling hook, everyone's got a grappling hook these days. And it's like, keeping up with the competition, I get it. And it's like, yeah, you're not wrong, it's the year of the grappling hook, every game has a grappling hook now. So you can use that to pull yourself towards enemies, or pull yourself around certain points to swing around the battlefield and get out of trouble. Sort of similar to how Doom has those rails and things you can swing yourself off. It's kind of this game's equivalent. It has a finisher system that's not quite the same as Doom's glory kill. And I should probably mention it tries to do one of those you need to kill to keep your health topped up and keep your ammo topped up kind of systems, a little bit like Doom has. You're supposed to go through a sort of cycle of things to keep everything topped up. So shooting people with guns will make them drop health. Doing a melee attack on them will make them drop ammo. And I think you can get more you get finisher points from killing anything, but I think you get more of those if you do an environmental kill, for instance, push them into spikes and stuff or something like that. You'll get a little more finisher. So there isn't glory kills per se as they were in Doom. In Doom, you damaged them to a point where they would flash, and then you could just finish them off, and that would give you a certain spew of these power-ups. In this, that's not really a thing unless you've built up a separate gauge. It's like a super meter almost in this. Right. And then once you have it, you can just go up to any enemy and say finish them at any time, like an insta-kill. So you only need 1 bar of super to do the lower level enemies, and then towards the back half of the game, there's one enemy where you need 3 bars of super
to do the instant kill.
Kill, yeah. And doing it kind of acts as your like get out of jail card. So you get a bonus of health out of doing it, and you also get a weapon from, or some sort of effect from doing it, and the effect depends on what enemy you finish. So it can be used to your advantage in some cases. Like the earliest enemy in the game will only takes one finisher bar to finish, and they will give you a extra 100 health on top of what you could already heal to. So they give you an overheal essentially, which is great. Like it's a nice little like, oh, I'm in trouble, but there's this like pansy in front of me. I can just finish him off, and suddenly I've got all my health back, and I've got more health than I had before. So let's keep going. And I think that system works really well, because you can then like later on, like if you want to be more offensive rather than use it to get out of jail, you can get specific weapons off some of the big guys. Like there's these huge fat dudes that basically just rush down melee things, but if you finish them instead, you get their giant hammer of death, and then you could just sort of swing that around for a bit and kill everything. You're still vulnerable while you have these special weapons, but they can help you turn the tide in nasty circumstances. Also, if you just hate those guys, which I do, I don't really like those rush down people. They're pretty annoying to fight at times. You can just use it to take one off the battlefield and just be like, oh, that's handy. That's one less to deal with.
Yeah, just weed one of them out at least.
Yeah, one less.
One less.
I wouldn't say all of those weapons you get out of, or what those benefits you get out of finishing things are all as useful as each other. There's one in particular I used like once and then found it completely useless for like the rest of the game. And then that one you get with that needs the 3 super bars to finish. That gun is like supremely overpowered, so it's like it's always worth like just burning all your supers to get it whenever you can, and then being like, oh, I'm just gonna mow everything down now. They don't last forever, but like that one lasts long enough for you to do significant work. That's kind of what this game is pretty much all the way through. Like you get these little bits here and there in between the fight arenas where it's got a little bit of like wall running. There are these like specific green bits you can run around and then do some platforming, and there's some hidden orbs around these sections where you can find them in order to level up your character and level up your guns. And like Doom, you're not limited to what guns you're carrying. You're carrying everything at all times. So you can just swip swap to what you want.
Swippity swap.
Swippity swap.
Swip swash.
In the middle of a fight to whatever you want.
Cool.
And in the end, you can end up leveling up your sword so it has elemental effects on it, which ended up being, I didn't really realize for ages that actually that's probably the most powerful thing in the game as it came to it, because you get like these extra heavy attacks you can do with an elemental effect towards the end of the katana tree. It's like the last upgrade you get. But then when I realized that actually just like the frost slash you can do just freezes everything like in front of you, and quite a nice wide burst in front. It's like, oh, okay. When I realized I could do that, it's like, well, actually that gets me out of trouble most of the time, because I'll just freeze everything in front of me, and then I could just casually just wander through them and like take a few pot shots on the way, and I can't get hurt during this little run. So it ended up being, I don't know, the dance of combat is pretty fun. But it's kind of all this game has, right? It's like,
right. I mean, that's
And to its credit, the game does not outstay its welcome at all. Like,
okay, so it's nice
pretty
and short and sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But I think it's perfectly short. Actually, it gets it just right. The game does encourage you going back into a sort of new game plus run and like having a few things different. And the doorbell's just gone.
Yeah.
Sorry if you heard that. So yeah, it does encourage you going through and playing it again to do some challenges and stuff like that. But it's not mandatory. You don't have to. And I would probably argue you probably don't want to, like, because I've kind of had my fill after one run, and I'm not sure I might replay some of the levels to find some of the orbs I missed and get the achievement for getting max orbs, but that might be it.
Right,
that might be me done.
Cool.
I will probably say the humor's not going to be for everyone. It is quite crude.
Okay.
in places, but not overly crude. I mean, there's a lot of swearing, as you right. There's a lot of F-bombs here and there. But it's not terrible. It's just kind of like, it's just dumb. Is what I would argue.
Storm style.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. But that's just this game's entire style. It doesn't care. Which then, when you realise it's published by Devolver, it's like, yeah, okay, fine.
Publisher doesn't count for the
no, but that's kind of
the game.
It's kind of Devolver's bag, though, right? They do these style of things.
Might not just be a coincidence.
No, it's definitely not a coincidence.
I think it would be more accurate to say that Devolver isn't afraid of publishing games like that.
Right. Okay.
Then they encourage them.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They go out of their way to find the dumb shit. It would be my take on Devolver. But yeah, it's decent. I had a lot of fun with it. Good, like in between podcasts game.
If you like some Doom and you want a bit more Doom flavored,
but not as much Doom as Doom.
Then check out Shadow Warrior 3.
Yeah,
I guess
it's all right. It's not a technical showpiece. It's not the best looking game in the world. It runs just fine on a Series X. Like the performance is solid. I guess.
Was this on Game Pass? Or?
Yes. Oh no,
okay.
Actually, no. I actually had a copy of this.
No.
Okay.
I was gifted a copy, but no,
nice.
it's actually worth your time.
Cool.
So that's Shadow Warrior. I think I've sort of dipped in and out of Forza again. I've been back in Forza Horizon 5.
Preparing yourself for the new one.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a ways off, but I've been playing a bit of Horizon 5. A bit of me just sort of I never got to credits in Horizon 5.
Yeah. How does it determine that?
Yeah, I don't know. In previous Forza games, there has always been a point where you can get to credits. And I think that was just by doing the festival expansion to a certain point or something.
Right.
Or
in Horizon, it makes sense because there's more of a progression of the world, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. Or doing a certain number of the big events, I guess, like finish all the showcases or perhaps finish all the. But I don't think I even did that in previous ones. I don't think I finished all the top tier. Marathon races, I guess they have the big ones. I don't think I did all of those in previous ones, and I still got to roll credits. So I got around to doing what this game calls the be part of the Hall of Fame, which actually in this was super low key. In this, it would just rock up to the main festival, and then it goes and puts your name on a flag at the festival, and then and your avatar, and then it goes, that's it, you're in the Hall of Fame, and I'm like. Oh, wait, that's it? There's no roll credits or anything? You do get an achievement for doing that, but okay, fine, great. And apparently that then unlocks some I think I've talked about it before, the game has this almost entirely pointless accolades system, which is just a way of keeping track of everything you've done in the game.
Right.
And it's also a way of terrifying you a little bit into how much you can actually do in this game. There's it's absurdly large. Actually doing the Hall of Fame thing just unlocks a whole nother page of these accolade things. So it's here, go do all the stuff the game has to offer, please. Do everything. You want to. Go do everything. And I'm like, there's too much. Shut your face. There is too much. I don't think I've even finished any single one of the Forza Horizon stories. That has these styles of. Those are the things I've mentioned before that are actually kind of the worst part, the best and worst part simultaneously, where it's here's a specific challenge, go do some mad jumps, go do some things, but they're ruined by terrible voiceovers and that run throughout the entire thing.
Like a Sonic level.
Like a Sonic level. Yeah, well, like a Sonic Forces level, specifically. Shout out to Shadow Warrior, actually, because it totally sidesteps that. There'll be bits where you're running around the world and there'll be the classic video game radio play running and characters are talking to each other while you're doing it. If you die, these will not repeat. So you don't ever in fact, if you die in the middle of them doing this, it will just pick up from where it left off.
Oh right. I was going to say, if you die and then you never hear anything.
No, it doesn't.
Kill yourself immediately and then you just skip all the dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't just cut it. It will just pick up exactly where you left off, and it's I actually think that's genius. It does mean it's the only way to repeat dialogue is to repeat the whole damn level.
Right.
But if you really want to. But in this case, I think I was like, that was the right decision. That was smart. Well done, Shadow Warrior. No super annoying repeats. Unlike Forza, which repeats every goddamn time. Especially if you're like, so if I was like gunning for like the 3-star rating on these challenges, you have to listen to the VO every single time, and it's the worst. It's not even very good VO.
Is there an individual volume slider for voice?
There might be, actually. You probably could just turn it all off. But there are certain segments, like even before and ending these things, where you're forced to sit through them talking.
Right.
So it would just be like a silent screen with subtitles, I guess.
Yeah.
Which might be preferable, I don't know. Yeah. That's what, like, I like Forza quite a bit, but these segments seem poorly executed. So yeah, I dipped into that briefly. I'll probably dip out again. I dipped into a little bit of Dirt 5 again and found its uneven difficulty curve to be annoying, especially in the, like, I've got like 10 or 20 more events left to do in that thing, and I'm just finding like the difficulty at that part of the game is just so variable that it's really annoying, and it just highlights all the problems that Dirt 5 have. I've talked about it before. Every time I dip into Dirt 5, I have the same problems with it.
You need to give up. No, not going to finish it.
God damn it. Maybe I should just, like, I have got a mainline route to quote unquote the end. I just don't have like I could do every event, but I don't have to at this point. Maybe I should just mainline to the end. Get it done. Get some Chivos and leave. So the other thing that I just started playing this morning is another vice of mine. It's another futuristic future racer. Futuristic future racer. Redout 2. Redout 2 came out pretty recently. And long-term listeners of the podcast will know that I quite liked Redout 1. It was a different take on the genre, had a bit of its own style. Not for everyone, I would say, but it did at least nail what it was going for, which is like, hey, driving these super fast cars is hard. Learn it, get good. Which isn't the usual kind of approach for these things, I don't think. I mean, like, Wipeout maybe got close, and I guess Pacer was also going for that to some extent as well. But Redout was the one that sort of, I think, kind of nails that from the start. It's like, these tracks are twisty and awkward and weird. Get used to it. If you don't get used to it, you're going to not do well at this. And I appreciated its hardcore take on it. Or at least I did eventually. Like, it took a while to get into that mindset. Like, the initial impression I don't think was too hot. But yeah, I eventually did learn to really enjoy that thing. Which leads me to Redout 2, which is, outside looking in, more of the same. Like, I'm playing it on Xbox, whereas I played Redout 1 on PC, so that's a little change. And that may have been a mistake, because this game has problems. Like, right from the off, it has problems. And I think they are technical more than design.
Okay.
Because as far as I can tell, the racing plays just fine. Like while I've been in races, it's been, other than a couple of noticeable performance hitches here and there, like, it's been all right. Like, it still has its signature strafe and pitch, being the sort of, like, so you don't really have air brakes like you do in, like, I guess most other future races. Or hover car races of that kind. You have a brake, but the trick with this one is, like, the right stick will basically always strafe you left and right. So if you want to do a tight turn, you're turning into it with both sticks, to sort of turn and force you inwards. So I guess it's a little bit like how F-Zero does it, actually, thinking about it, like how GX does it. But the right stick is also used to pitch your nose up and down. So if you're on, like, a loop, for instance, your nose will dig into the ground unless you pitch up.
Right.
So you have to control the pitch. And there are some jumps on the tracks which require you to actually manage your pitch. Otherwise, you're not going to make that jump.
Right. If you don't touch the control, then it's going to wipe you out. Okay.
So that was kind of Redout's, like, trick. And to the point where you had to, if you didn't pitch down properly on a loop, on an inverted loop, like, so you're going around the outside of a loop, like the blood would rush to your
fly
head
off.
and red you
right.
out.
Redout. Oh,
So
very nice.
the screen would go like violently red.
I mean, does that make sense? Okay.
No, probably not. Not at all.
But it makes sense if you assume that the car is somehow just attached to the track and that's the only physics happening.
Yeah.
That you are then completely a free body attached to that car.
Yeah. I mean, in real terms, in the game, it slows you down if you're not doing it right. Like, aside from the visual effect, but you also take damage if your nose is digging into the track. So you do have to get it right. And the original had this cool, like, almost, I would say, like, it has something in common with, like, Deep Rock in the way it's like polygons are rendered, right? They're like they eschewed textures most of the time and made it sort of nice and flat and low poly in places, and it had a real nice look to it. And I think they've kind of stepped back from that a bit here, which is a shame, because I thought that aesthetic actually kind of worked really well in the context of a future racer. It was quite nice. They've gone for a more realistic approach here, but that's actually where one of the main problems steps in. I think this game has a technical loading issue or streaming issue of some kind, because the textures have that old UE3 problem where they take forever to pop in. Like, really forever. Like, when you're at the start of a race, like, you've got this thing underneath your car that's holding it, and there's those markings on the floor, but like they're made up of about a 10 by 10 pixel grid at the start of the race, and eventually it will load in and it becomes super sharp. But like, for ages, like most of the time, you've started and you've gone by the time this texture is loaded in. And it just looks awful. And pretty much every part of where this game loads has this issue. So even in the menus, where you're like, if you're loading in car parts and there's like a logo behind the car at one point, that's like telling you like the manufacturer of the logo. Even that is super low res until it loads in properly. But that's all fine. Like, ultimately, they don't actually affect the gameplay. They're just, it's got a loading problem. That also is in the loading times between races, because they are excessive. Like, Series X is supposed to do away with loading issues, right? But this game takes friggin' ages to load.
Weird.
Like, we're back to early X-Bone days level loading. It's not good. It shouldn't be there. And maybe this actually leads to what is the game's biggest problem in my eyes, in that the music playback, a kind of a core tenet of a future racer, if you ask me. It's a tentpole thing. And I wasn't super into Redout's music originally, but they are going for something ambitious with their music system in both games. The idea is that it's a dynamic music engine, and it's supposed to adjust to what's happening in the race, to how well you're doing, to how fast you're doing, and move the music around accordingly. So each race, you're probably not going to get the same playback of the music each time. It's shifting. And while I don't think that was 100% successful all the time in the first game, it was at least interesting. And they tried the same thing here, but I think what they may have done is they've tried to make it split it out even. I think they've tried to be even more ambitious and split it out into like certain stems of music can be brought in and out individually, not just like there's a cut of music here, and it gets spliced in, perhaps. I think they've tried to be way more ambitious. And all of it plays out of sync. Like, it is 100% busted to the point where it just sounds atrocious. I don't know how this made it out the door. It just doesn't work. Like, the best option is to turn the music off. It's that bad. Like, it's
shocking.
Yeah. I was reading a review that makes me think that this is actually, like, the build that's on console at the moment probably isn't the build that they wanted to be on console, because the review I was reading suggested that there was like a forced tutorial the first time you start the game. Like, it takes you through this like dramatic cutscene, and then there's a bit of like, here, take control of the ship, go do this first thing, and then you go on to like there's an expanded tutorial in the career. I didn't see any of that. Like, there's a bit of tutorial in the career, and I think that's what they were referring to as that expanded bit of tutorial. But I didn't see an opening cutscene. I didn't see an opening like intro race or anything like that. That stuff was just missing. Which makes me think that maybe the build that's available on console at the moment is missing like the day one patch that everything should have.
Oh, maybe. Well, that would be weird.
It just seems It doesn't match, basically. The maybe the PC experience has all of that, but I'm on Xbox and they haven't got it right. So my feeling is I should probably put this down, do what I did with Formula Fusion, right, and Pacer. Just put it down for a while and come back to it once they've cleaned
fixed it up a bit.
Yeah.
That worked for you for those games, though.
It did, yeah. Formula Fusion did improve.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take that same approach with Redout, which is a bummer.
Yeah, it's a shame. Can't get your future racing fix.
No,
you have to go back to a game that's already been patched up.
Yeah, so that's a shame. But that will probably round out my my 2 weeks of gaming. Other than I've been having a proper lemon run every time I've played Rocket League of late.
Oh no!
Ugh, it's so frustrating. I think I went like the bulk of a week, and I won like 2 games, like at loads, and it was so frustrating. It just was not gelling with my team or what. I couldn't quite figure out what was happening, but yeah, just lemon runs. Lemon runs, that's what I'm going to call it.
Yep.
My Sideswipes career's been going all right. Playing the mobile Rocket League has been fine. And they've just started a new season, so it's time to earn me a whole heap of bonuses for the real game.
Hopefully, yeah.
Get my season pass back on track.
I can't remember. Does that connect into the real game? Or?
It does, yeah. I think every time you level up in Sideswipe, you get an XP bonus next time you win a match in real Rocket League, and it works both ways. So, like, if you win matches in Big Boy Rocket League, you'll get a little XP bonus back in Sideswipe. And I think there is this for the next week or so. There is actually a crossover event where if you get a certain number of levels in Sideswipe, or you complete enough challenges, in Sideswipe, you can actually unlock a goal explosion in the real game.
Oh, that's cool.
So they are doing things. It's not quite as integrated, I think, as perhaps it should be, but they are at least tying the two together.
Yeah, there's some integration. That's cool.
Oh, that was the other thing I did. Sorry, that reminded me. I had one evening. I played a session of Fall Guys with Kippers.
Right.
Really?
Because that's come out on like Xbox and stuff now.
Yes.
And it's
free.
And it's 100% free to play. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And has been advertising the shit out of YouTube.
Yep. It really has.
With that epic money. Yeah.
Oh yes. I mean, that game hasn't changed a whole lot since I played it when it came out on PS4. I mean, if anything, it's got harder, I would say. Like, they've tweaked a lot of the old challenges, so there's even more obstacles in them. And the new challenges just seem batshit. Like, just even more difficult than before. That I feel like that game is a whole lot more fun played as a team. Like, so we were playing, like, you can play, like, solos and bring a pie with you. But we were playing duos, which, like, gives you a combined team score. Cool. So you have to go through. Both players have to do reasonably well and beat the other team scores in order to go through. So it's not just, and I think something about that makes that game more enjoyable for me. We had a pretty good time playing that. It's still stupid as hell, and it's still like utterly random half the time whether or not you're going to succeed. But we had a decent time with it. It's one of those games where I don't see myself ever being like, oh, Fall Guys is my game, right? I'm going to spend all this money on making my bean look ridiculous.
Well, no, but when have you ever spent a bunch of money in the game?
I mean, that's true. I don't really like engage with free to play, but like I can't really see why Fall Guys would be that game for people because it is just so random. I suppose it's fun, but like I don't feel like the fun is sustained.
No. And also, because of the random, there's not as much of a skill element.
No.
I mean, there is some.
There is skill. Yeah, don't get me wrong, there is skill.
You're going to be limited by random.
Yeah, you're going to be limited by the other players more than you are.
Well, yeah, that too.
Anything
interference.
Else. Yes, 100%. That game is all about interference. Although, we did actually win a couple of rounds of the I forget what they called it. It was like the Spartan Showdown or something, which was like a Halo-themed thing they were doing on Xbox, where you could get a Spartan helmet. for you, dude. We did end up winning a couple of rounds, but Kippers won one of them by the most ridiculous method possible. So, like, the final round on Spartan Showdown is just like they put you in an arena, the floor is going to be disappearing over time, and there's these bomb things lying around that you pick up and they explode and they cause a sort of impulse on things that are around them. And that's all that finale was. Kippers managed to win by simultaneously him and his opponent being hit by a bomb. And then Kippers being blown back into the arena by another bomb explosion that was just in midair, and it pushed him back onto the arena, and he survived, and the other guy didn't. And it was just fantastic to watch. It was just like, oh my god, did that just happen? It was great. These moments can happen in Fall Guys, but like that is for the most part not my experience of how that goes. Anyway, Fall Guys. It's free. You have no excuse. Check it out.
Fall Guys.
You have no excuse.
So much content, so many platforms all the time.
Too many games.
Too many games.
Except not this year.
Well, yeah, not too many AAAs, but that's fine.
There's always too many games when you have Game Pass.
There is always
Rob's experience.
There's always too many games. I might start Bug Snacks. I think that might be.
I think
that might be.
I will
next
accept
game.
that one as a game to play.
I think that might be my next game.
Talking about Bug Snacks.
Talk about Bug Snacks.
Okay, so next time we'll be talking about Bug Snacks.
Talking about Bug Snacks.
Whoa.
And then
Okay.
Bungas. Bunga.
Well, enough games to fill out a podcast, that's for sure, with juicy discussion.
And now we can move into a actual pre-Pete's phase.
Oh yeah, we can move from being We can somehow transition from pre-Pete's to Petesing to post-Pete.
Petesing mode is about to activate. Yeah.
Enable Das Pete's.
So thank you, listeners, for joining us for another podcast. We're Happy Salad, as you know, and we've got some YouTube videos as if you enjoy those. So check out our channel, Happy Salad.
If you enjoy such a thing as a video.
If you enjoy videos as well as podcasts, then check those out. We've got some Let's Plays, including Ocarina of Time, which is proceeding on.
Nearly done.
Towards the end.
Nearly.
Yeah, nearly done.
I suppose there must be people that don't watch any televisual entertainment still and just prefer to be audio focused. Those people must still exist, right?
Possibly. I'm sure there's people that know our podcast but haven't seen our videos, so it's worth reminding them.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe, and vice versa. If you come here from a video, then you already know about those. So you've already enjoyed them, but they are there. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with more Saladcast. So
might we? Our schedules are pretty messed up in 2 weeks' time.
Either that or our schedules will be screwed.
Yeah.
But we will return, just like James Bond.
We will. And at a much later date than you expect, because that's how James Bond works right now, isn't it?
Later than you expect, but sooner than Bond, I expect.
Sooner than Bond.
That. Okay. Given what's recently happened to him, and I haven't even seen the film.
Spoilers.
Okay, it's not even a spoiler if I don't even know what it is. Anyway, yeah, no spoilers, but spoilers for future Saladcasts. They may not be on time, as regular as normal, but we will be there. So catch us then. Yeah. Bye for now. Bye.